Hello, fellow travelers. This is Veronica from Human Design Journey, and we're going to look at this weekly transit. So, the sun moved to gate 63. The gate of doubt after completion. And it's now in the first line, composure. And we have at the same time the channel of the materialist activated. Just a second. So it's part of the understanding circuit, part of the channel of logic, design of mental ease mixed with doubt when connected to the fourth gate. And the earth is in the 64th gate before completion, the gate of confusion. So we have the cross of consciousness here. So there is a lot of trials for making sense out of things, trying to make sense out of things. Let's start with the definition in the transit, though, since it will be the biggest influence. Here we have the channel of the materialism, a design of materialist, and we have basically the 45th gate, the gate of gathering together. In the throat center, connect to the 21st gate, the gate of biting through in the heart center. And here we're talking about power and influence of the tribe over the human affairs. It's also called the channel of the king queen. It's the voice of the tribe which says, I have or I don't have. The tribe wants basically two things: money and a secure and reliable commitment from everyone to be tribal together. So the 45th, the king, queen, and the 21st gate, the hunter-huntress, it is the responsibility of the two working together to make sure the tribe has these two things. And materialism is the way of the 21 and 45. But what it really satisfies, it is putting money to work. There's the channel that has the resources and distributes them. It's also the channel of education. It's the channel of the banks, the speculation, the stock market, the business venture capitals, and everything connected here. Those are the money-making enterprises. It's a manifesto channel, so it's transformation and making things happen. But in order for things to happen and to succeed, you need support of the tribe. That's what it says here. To keep their part of the deal. Money and community that uses the money is what this channel is all about. So if you have an open ego center or an open throat, or no connection to the throat from one of the motors, or just in general, these few days, and it's actually going on for some time, it's Mars, so and it's exalted and detrimented at the same time. So very strong, immature energy. And here we have Uranus, the laws, in detriment, which will be pushing and willing you to make promises you don't know whether you can keep, and to make things happen, say things which might not be correct according to your strategy and authority. But let's look specifically at the lines. So we have the 21st gate in Jupiter, law and protection, biting through the gate of the Hunter-Huntress. Third line, powerlessness, where the just are condemned to futile confrontation with superior forces. Total withdrawal, a lack of will for the material path in order to protect the ego. And here we have trial and error process of trying to get to the best resources, and powerlessness if you cannot control them. So the law at this moment abides the biting through the ripping apart the force within you and feel powerless. With superior forces. So it's very important to be able to control the stuff, but only 30% of the people are here to actually be in control, be willful, and usually they know when to stop, because the ego, it's the ego center, it's the heart center, connected physiologically to the heart center, and the heart, you can see, doesn't generate all the time like the sacral motor. It's actually pulsing. The heart goes beats, it goes, so it's not going all the time. And right now people will be prone to give promises and to be over pushy, over willing, willful, over willful. So this is a lot of strain on the heart muscle, on the stomach, and it's, we have to be careful not to overstrain and not to do things which look hard, and the motivation behind doing them is just because they're hard. Especially if you have an open heart center and sleeping dormant gates there. Right now you can be under the will possibility to try to express willfully and promise, wanting to prove your worth, and not knowing what's really deserves to have a higher price paid, or on the opposite, to overprice things, and maybe overprice yourself as well. So beware of this energy. Then we had the 45th gate. It's in the throat, and it's at this moment the energy dynamic is very strong. We have it in the fourth line direction, The ability to focus the opportunity of gathering together for the service of higher principles, the expression of higher principles on the material plane, and waiting for the opportunity to do that. The tendency to try to influence the direction of a group action for personal benefit, and the lack of expression of higher principles on the material plane. That's the other side on the Martian energy here. So the fourth line is waiting for the opportunity in its network, from its network, to either gather together in the name of higher principles or the lack of them on the material plane. But the 45th gate, and in general, channel 2145, if it's not done for the good of the tribe, it is not considered as good. It's considered selfish, and as it's supposed to be good for the tribe, for the benefit of the tribe. We have also the 21st gate in fourth line, strategy. Careful appraisal of opposing forces to establish a proper response, activated by Venus, values and relating, aesthetically nice, careful appraisal of opposing forces to establish proper response, and the success in action through clarity, the ego to succeed on the material plane, and the instinct to use willpower effectively in response to conditions. It's only exalted. So this is what is the primary willful action energy in the air. But let's look specifically at the Sun Earth combination. So we have the gate of doubt, first line composure, the quality of personality where achievement is accepted with equanimity and where continued development is allowed to take its natural course. Acceptance of achievement, but doubt whether continued development will take place. So we have here the head center. It's the center of mental pressure, doubt, confusion, questions, inspiration, and it's thinking about things that don't matter. So only knowing that only 30% of the people will have defined head center, then 70% will have either undefined head center or open head center, and then the 63rd and 64th gate will be putting everybody, all of those people, under the pressure to think too much, and maybe be confused and doubtful. 63rd gate, it's part of the logic. So we have here in the first line investigation and looking for answers connected to continued development, and at the same time acceptance of achievement, but doubt whether continued development will take place indeed. And this is introspective thinking, and it can make you go nuts, especially if you have the 47th gate on the other side in an open ajna, thinking too much of things that don't matter. Let's see the other lines which will be activated tomorrow. The second line, structuring, the establishing of large framework through which achievement can be expanded and shared, compensating others for their contributions while maintaining control of direction. The pressure to share one's doubt with others while still maintaining control. And the other side, instability and achievement that when in position of authority leads to arrogance and the desire to keep others away from the center of power. Doubts in achievement that can lead to suspicion of others. That will be tomorrow, the energy in the second line, the natural, the hermit, in instability and doubt. While on one side still maintaining the control or too much suspicion. Then the third line, continuance the day after tomorrow, the dedication to the new beginning that insists on maintaining its achieved principles despite having to interact with those who have not attained such a state, and doubt that one can maintain one's principles when interacting with others, or success to any price, the pressure to eliminate the doubt at any cost. In trial and error process, breaking bonds, making bonds, maybe making discoveries on if it's correct, on the consciousness plane. On one side, able to maintain one's principles, or the pressure to succeed at any price and forget the principles. And then we will have the fourth line, memory, the detailed accounting of achievement process whose information base can prepare any order for the future. The pressure to explore the doubt in detail as a foundation for eventual formalizing. And the other side, the willingness to forget in the glow of victory with the possible price to be paid later. The pressure and risk to forget the details when the doubts have been answered. Waiting for the opportunity here, in the network of friendships, and whether it's correct or not to be in the glow of victory, and eventual formalizing of the foundation, which you can afterwards make others interested in that, and to extrapolate your base. It's the fourth line is really the base of the second trigram. So they are looking to influence with their belief system and their moral system the others, but the willingness to forget in the glow of victory with possible price to be paid later. And be too opportunistic, getting at the end fatigued through all of that. By the way, the nodes are also in the fourth line, so we'll look at them in a second. And other, we already looked at 21 and 20, and the 45th gate also in fourth lines, and the 60th gate, Pluto, is in the fourth line. So it's a lot about who we know and who is in our network, the friendships we have. That's what's going to be in the air. So we have afterwards the fifth line in 4.5 days, affirmation, the authority and sincerity of purpose to pursue the same values in the new beginning that had allowed it to transcend the old, the understanding that doubts are necessary and of value. Then we will have the sixth line, nostalgia, so we have the good sense to avoid turning the previous struggle into an obsession, the logic of leaving all doubts behind, or the revolutionary nostalgia, illogic and the potential obsession without suspicion and doubt. So this is what awaits us in the next few days. from composure to structuring, continuance, memory, affirmation, and nostalgia at the end of the doubt process. And part of the we have here the logic and the understanding, trying to project the future for the better of and trying to find answers. But are those the correct answers, or you are looking to answer everybody else's questions, which are none of your business, and you're just losing your energy there. On the other hand, we have the 64th gate. This is the gate of confusion, part of the channel of abstraction, a design of mental activity and clarity, with harmonic gate, the 47th, the gate of oppression. It's part of the sensing circuit. And here we have, again, the head center, the pressure, not on awareness. This is the beginning of the abstract mental process. So we have both the logic and the abstract mental process. And the keynote for this chanto is mental activity, being very active. Confusion is there to pressure as a busy mind of a great deal of data that requires filtering before the pressure can be relieved. And with the logic process, we have testing the pattern in the present to project in the future. Here in the abstract process is about experiencing the present in order to reflect upon it when it is past. And the pressure of this gate is a flood of images rooted in past experience. When activated from the design prenatal data, this is also a powerful dreaming gate. So a lot of dreams can be in the air today, especially if you're with an open head. So since this is a mental pressure for the abstract circuit, the starting point is by its very nature a mixed blessing because it's also connected to visuals and over all time, past, future, and present. There can be a lot of anxiety, pressure, and anxiety. Let's look at the different lines. We are now in conditions. The first line in penetrating to the center of the understanding that instills the necessary harmony to survive disorder. Amongst the confusion, the difficulty in finding the point, and the powerful temptation when having transition in sight to hasty action, an urge to act when you think you have made sense of the confusion. So an urge to act and a channel, acting channel, manifesting channel. So beware, open heads, not to turn your thoughts into actions too fast. Second line, qualification. This will be tomorrow, an inner development which recognizes what qualities are essential for transcendence and the awareness that without them action will fail. Inner development that can end the confusion over what makes sense. And or not, and get even more confused. Or the other side, constantly in action, it wastes the very qualities and resources that it will need, getting lost in the confusion and burdening the psyche. And that by the moody moon, being natural qualification and needing to be selective and turning all these questions into being a paper tiger without real substance behind it, asking questions which don't matter or which are on the other side naturally brilliant. Also a possibility. It all depends on whether you concentrate on things which are for you, which you really respond to or are invited into or have inner impulse, or are initiated into and not coming out of your own mind. Then the day after, the third line, overextension, we'll have the wisdom to recognize when one has not the necessary resources to complete transition. Such timely awareness may give it a chance to seek assistance. The wisdom to accept confusion as a temporary state that will be resolved in time or through others. And the other side, the risk of a superficially confident personality that when transition collapses, there is no one to turn to. Overconfidence that the fates will be kind on demand. Yeah, well, if you're following your strategy and authority, usually the fates are kind, not on demand, but in the least resistance way. And the wisdom to recognize when one has not the necessary resources can be quite, in the sense of trial and error, quite good to feel where your limit is. Then we will have the fourth line, conviction, symbolized by its faces. The moon is assured of transition, convinced by its very process that it will triumph. The assuredness that confusion is a process that results in realization. Or the other side, where force and energy alone cannot overcome doubt, where the confusion is so energized, assuredness brings no relief. So waiting here for the opportunity of the right question and also the right pressure to have the right question. And seek that opportunity. This is, by the way, part of a projector channel, so you should be invited to share your questions and ask them. Otherwise, there'll be bitterness. Then we will have the fifth line, promise. So there will be projections over the values promised in any new order that are demonstrated through harmonic interactions with others. This strengthens the justification for the struggle. Confusion over which values and relationships can bring harmony. Or the other side, a tendency in trying to justify the struggle by focusing exclusively on the failure of the old order that cannot demonstrate the quality of the new. Focusing on the past confusions about values and relationships, and projecting them into the now, which may cause more anxiousness and nervousness, pressure to know and to explain and to find on one side understanding, and then on the other side sensing and realizing, going through the experience. And here we have the 64th gate. Only after it's finished you can make really sense out of it. Sixth line, victory, not getting really engaged, but the mental assuredness that knew the victory was inevitable, this making triumph sweet, but not reason for excess. The mental gift of enjoying confusion and its diversity of data. Like the story of the Trojan horse, the other side, it can be dangerous to get carried away in celebration, lest one loses vigilance and perspective. With all the diversity of data, it is easy to lose perspective in your celebration of victory and getting inspired by things which are not yours to be to take before completion as given. And transition, like birth, requires a determined strength for the passage through that will be breaking through with that pressure to understand and to know and to answer the questions and the doubts and hear the confusions, in order to share them with the rest, because these are part of collective channels. And without sharing them with the rest, with the others, it's like you didn't have those questions and answers. So there can be a lot of confusion in the air. Beware, open heads, a lot of doubt. Then we have the notes in the 27, 28 gates: nourishment, the gate of caring; fourth line, generosity, the natural sharing of attained abundance; magnanimous and qualitative sharing, the gift of rewarding those who are deserving; the power and strength to share generously to your friends, your network; or the indiscriminative sharing, the potential loss of power and strength through indiscriminative sharing. So this is in the air. We're going to see a lot of sharing going on in the networks, friendships. And then we have the 28 gate. So the setting will be preponderance of the great gate of the game player, a lot of risk taking, holding on the fourth line, the ability through whatever means to keep one's grip. On one side, the application of knowledge to exploit opportunities, and usually for the greater good, a depth of intuition at its best in struggle and often of value to others. Or the other side, the application of intelligence to hold on exclusively out of self-interest, a depth of intuition that is stubbornly selfish in its capacity to hold on. The fourth line can be nice or quite nasty at times. Then we have the moon in the 53rd gate, the gate of development, the gate of the beginnings. In the fifth line, assertion, the underlying and offers psychic recognition of the intrinsic values of development, that even in periods of isolation has the assertiveness to maintain direction, and or an over assertiveness that, rather than applied to maintain support in the face of opposition and isolation, may actually strengthen the opposition forces by its attitude. But this very soon will be gone. Actually, very soon. I need to get the moon into the 62nd gate here in the throat. Then we have, so this is right now the driving force. Then we have the 30th gate in Mercury. So communication will be about, and also Saturn is here. So also we will be limited here and disciplined in the sixth line, enforcement, the discipline to maintain right action, the assertiveness to purge the inferior while accepting the lead to the weak, the strength to eliminate negative feelings, and the other side, an inherent peacefulness that all too often will abide the presence of inferior forces, a lack of strength in eliminating negative feelings. So the fates might be enforcing the discipline and communicating that if you get engaged, can be inherent peacefulness or assertiveness to purge the inferior. But it's all dependent, of course, on your strategy and authority, and only then the fates can be good to you or not. We already looked at the Venus and Mars and Jupiter, Saturn, and we have Uranus left, the receptive, the gate of direction of the self. In third line, patience, the teacher that never stops being a student. It's active for some time. In the detriment for the revolutionary, patience is a vice, higher knowing that cannot wait and demands expression. So we have a lot of risk for expressing, higher knowing or not being prepared, without clarity, for instance, if we're emotional. We have anyways the 36 gate in third line, the darkening of the light, the gate of crisis transition, the point at which decline has exhausted its power, and the 30th gate, the fates active. So with a lot of energy to act, we can definitely not wait and demand expression and revolutionary energy to act too fast, maybe, and think too much. Maintain composure and conditions, but confusion and doubt, this can get dangerous. So we have Pluto in the 36th gate, the darkening of the light, the gate of crisis, a point at which decline has exhausted its power, the ability to establish a new order out of the ashes of the old, or the tendency renewal to try to assimilate the remains of the old order into the new, with the risk that it may rise against the new order when it has regained its strengths. So, as we discussed many times in the past months, we don't really know how this will play out until it's gone in 2025. But apparently there are crises which we're not even aware of. Then we have the 60th gate, the gate of limitation, looking for a way to transcend those limitations. And again, in the 4th gate, waiting for the opportunities to come so we can transcend the limitations. Resourcefulness, the reason and intelligent maximization of potential within limitations, or the tendency in times of limitation to seek the inner meaning of the restriction rather than using its gifts to find a harmonic application within the limitation. And this is a manifester day, so there can be a lot of anger in the air, a lot of expression of impatient anger and outbursts of will and strength, and making willfully people do things, say things. The right of the power will be in the air, guys. So if it's not for you, if your strategy and authority are not leading you to do things, don't, because you can get yourself into trouble, into crisis, and attracting unnecessary attention of not nice and over willful forces. So as usual, strategy and authority is your umbrella. This is the weather, and it doesn't have to be your life. It doesn't have to be yours. It is the scenery only, but it doesn't have to be your movie necessarily. You can just watch it on the screen and be aware of it, and not allow this to take you off your center, because you're here to have your own movie. And be able to notice for what things are and not for what the program sets them to be. As always, I'm Veronica from Human Design Journey. The moon just changed to the 6th line phasing. The successful utilization of the completion of a stage in development that by its evident success and value can be used as an example to attract support for the next stage. The energy to attract support for beginnings based on the success of the past. Well, if this transit field talk was successful and informed you, it would be great to see you next time. So like and subscribe, and see you soon. Bye for now.